We are live. This is the real and
Whoa,
raw. Yeah, with
whoa.
Lynn and Brian. I'm Lynn Serrano.
And I'm Brian. Like,
And
she hit the recording button and stuff.
yeah, and you know what? Your hair looks like it's not red today.
See, we got something to talk about that.
Yeah, we do.
No red hair.
Oh my gosh, no red hair. Okay, we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back. Here we are on a Thursday, and I want to thank Brian because he's the one who thought of the topic like 2 hours ago. He sent it back to
Eh,
me, and
plenty of time for a show.
yeah, and I'm glad he put humor is good for the soul because we were just talking right before the show here, and he's wise and he's smart, but I think I've hit the weather map, not the news, because I just don't watch. I agree with him. I don't watch the news to see what's going on. Hey, Scott Ricard, so glad that you're here. Hope everything's good over your neck of the woods. But with family in Puerto Rico and then the storms here in Florida, I kind of fall. And then my dad saying I don't want to leave the house, and then my brother did get him over to his house. Thank God, as far as my dad's neck of the woods, he's back home, and yeah, he's got some debris, but his little trailer's good. And it's
Right.
funny because of the frost the beginning of the year or whatever, his avocado plant had no avocados. Well, he comes home and there was 3 on the ground. He goes, it must have been in the center because he hadn't seen any little avocados. So he found that his tree did have at least a couple of avocados.
That's cool.
Yeah, but again, I'm glad you brought this topic today about humor is good for the soul, because when we start worrying about things, we forget to think of the good things, or laughter, which can really change our mood. And so I'm grateful you brought this up, because I got news the last Friday about being pre-diabetic and my vitamin D being so low, and I'm going, okay, that explains it. And yet, and then the weather and just worrying about people. And I'm learning about pre-diabetes stuff because it runs in my family, but it just never touched me
Right.
till now. And stress is one of those things. And so laughter would really help counter, and it's funny because pre-diabetics, you should stop drinking and smoking. Well, I'm ahead of the game because I don't do either one of those.
Right.
So laughter should be something I should have instead of worrying, especially at these times where all you can do is worry about your family and friends.
Well, worry is a manifestation of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm sure that Rex could go deeper on that, but it's like, if you a lot of people say that, oh, I'm not a good storyteller. I'm not funny, whatever. Well, okay. If you say that you're that, well, then you're going to be that. But how many times when you're not putting pressure on yourself that you could tell a story or you can make somebody laugh without even trying, right? So
Yeah.
when we're looking at it under a fine-tooth comb, of course we're going to say that's not, because we're going to be the most self-critical of anybody that we know, right? But it's like when people say that you're funny, take it at face value, because the true essence of funny is not when you're trying to be funny,
It's
but
just you're
also
being you.
well, you just being you, but there's also something to be said for the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? It's along the lines of when people say that they are something, they're usually overcompromising for what they're not,
Yeah.
right? Because anybody that has to say it usually is not that. It's the opposite. But those that are humble and those that just do it, they don't really they downplay it like any great actor. Now, there is obviously actors that are pompous and carry on a different realm of self-belief, but there's Darlene's here.
I love you, but Darlene.
But there's also actors out there where they're the most humble people on the planet that just work their tail off and they don't expect anything, so
Like Glenn Morshower.
yeah.
Yeah. He'll spend hours and hours and giving in Clubhouse, or yeah.
But it's humor is something you have to be at the source of, right? Just like happiness, and it took me a lot of years in therapy based on happiness alone. And I know that's not what we're talking about, but it parallels it, is that I got from a previous relationship, that person made me believe that I was the source of their happiness. That is not true. Not true at all.
No, it's not up to you.
Correct. The
Yeah.
individual person, you and I and everybody that's watching, all of our loyal followers and listeners and community, you're at the source of your happiness, just like you're at the source of your humor, right? But when you make judgments, when you make assessments, when you want to be perceived as showing up a certain way, that's just like saying you want to say the right words in the moment that you just have to show up. It's
Yeah.
never going to come out the way that you do it if you script it.
Yeah. That's
Kind of
why.
like in any conversation where, like yesterday, I'm talking to a bunch of people and I was just on a roll with humor, right?
And
Quick-witted, in the moment, fun, and tearful. Like people just, where do you come up with this stuff is what they would say.
but Brian, when you say though around certain people, like for me, you bring it out of me. You bring out my goofiness, my silliness, my raw, real. And so, don't you think yesterday you must have been around people that just gave you that kindling for you to be all fired up? Wouldn't you say that though?
I
The
would have to say
company.
that they were open to it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You
Like
know, it's kind of like imagine going to a comedy club and nobody wanted to laugh.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, why did you come if all you're going to do is, kick doors and be upset and sit there with your hands closed like Walter from Jeff Dunham? You know what I mean? The curmudgeon sitting there on the, sitting there on the front porch, people yelling at his lawn or something,
yeah.
But you have to be open to it in order for it to be possible.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll admit I've gone to comedy places when I was younger, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see if they can make me laugh. So I purposely I
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, that made me laugh. But I was open to hear what they had to say. But and then I'm like, okay, this is good. You gotta, you
But
know.
but the whole part in that is that why were you resistant to it?
Well, I wanted. I just was that. I was younger. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
why,
but
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 I
I'm
was.
just saying though, is this
Yeah.
like we are the only, despite what people say in business and Mr. Christopher despite what people say in life, we are our only competition. I don't care about who you compete with in business, da 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 da. There is only one of us. How we show up, who we serve, how we do what we do, there's only one person that can do that, and that's us. That's
And
it.
that's what Bob Donnell just said, being open. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bob, for being here. And yeah, that's exactly it. I was, when I was younger, I was like, I'm going to see how long before. But once I opened up, I was like, okay, this is funny. I
Yeah.
could be in the moment. But, again, I had to give that permission to be open to receive what was being
But
said in
but here's the
order.
thing is that with any comedian that gets up on stage, and I've studied some comedians and I've done a little stand up here and there, but the thing about it is that they have their first several jokes. Hey, Rick, they have their first couple jokes, just like a play caller for a football game, right? They have their first 5 or 10 plays already pre-scripted, just like their jokes. But you cannot get humor as a result of being cautious or,
No,
well, I don't know if I should do that or say that joke because it might offend somebody. Well, you can't have it both ways.
right.
You cannot be 100% transparent and cautious at the same time or artificial. You have to choose.
Well, and I think that's what I love about certain comedians, even like Don Rickles, and I mean like Phyllis Diller, and like the hardcore people that were really edgy and stuff, or even watching All in the Family with Archie.
Mhm.
First, you got to realize, is this person a good person? And if they're being funny and if they're picking on like a race or nationality or something, they're doing it with love. Don Rickles, he
Yep.
loved everybody, but he was very insultive to, Jews and this and that and this and that. But the point is when you know it's coming from the right place from somebody, like once I know people know how I am or what I do, then I feel comfortable just saying, hey, this is what I got to say. But again, it comes from the humor. It comes because we got to laugh about everything.
Right.
I mean, because you take life seriously and it starts bringing you down a spiral staircase, and that's just what happens.
Well,
You go down that
in
rabbit hole.
well, and like by being humorous, it's like you don't know how far you can take it. And I'm not saying in an offensive way or whatever, but if you have the talent to make people laugh and you just have this presence about you that gets people to surround you and not in an arrogant way, and just because you have I don't know, you just have something to say, or you just show up as this persona, right? And it's authentic and it's real, is that there's just this natural presence where people want to be around you, right? But
I'm
you're
just
also showing up authentically, and you're not, the furthest thing from your mind is like, oh wow, I wonder if they're going to perceive me as something. You
Yeah.
really have to throw it out the window if your humor is really going to be where it's at.
Hey, Tony, thanks for being here.
Hey.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of the fact that when Rex, that piece that we played
Oh
last
yeah.
week, whatever, Rex dropping his glasses and just us. And then my laugh, I was just like, when I listened to it back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it just made me laugh to hear my laugh. So I was dying laughing. And
Because
then, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, it's just, and so again, it's just like, all the little commentaries just in that clip. It's just so much laughter there, and being in the moment. And then there was a time with, I was producing Debbie's show, and something, we had a blooper there. And for 3 hours after, Bob Donnell, we were backstage laughing. I swear I thought I hurt my ribs. I was laughing so hard. Yeah, we were like, oops, we wouldn't, that blooper shouldn't be out there, but we were like laughing. There was nothing else we could do but laugh while I'm trying to fix the problem.
I think that one of the key things in order to really assess your humor is if you can say things that really make you the goofy guy or the guy that really puts it on yourself, right?
Yeah.
You don't make it about other people. You definitely, especially if you don't know somebody, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I'm the kind of edgy, playful type of in your face type person. But if anybody knows me, it's not serious
Right.
because I'm bringing something personal about them, or I might be stretching how much I know them, right? But in such a way where they're like, we know that he's not serious.
Yeah.
But if you can start with humor about yourself, you know what I mean? Like, look at this big, tall, dopey guy that looks like he's going to do your taxes, right? That's what I say about myself to other people, and they just laugh. But as other mentors like Jeffrey Gitomer and other people have said, that puts other people at ease.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
willing to make it self-deprecating, it's going to make it so much easier, but it also has to fit your personality.
Hey, that's just like I'd say I'm J Lo, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm J Lo gone bad. But I just, I finally calmed myself the other day, Brian, and saying, you know what? I got a big booty, but you know what? People pay to have what I have. People pay lots of money for
Surgically
what I have.
repaired to have that.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm saving me some money.
She was given it by the grace of God, and you didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, there you go. But I was looking at it as a bad thing. But you see, so I have curly hair and I like to put my hair straight, but people like it curly on me. So I mean, you always want something you don't have. But the laughter is in it, is that thank you, Christopher. But seriously, it's when you realize how goofy we are about worrying about what we don't have or the standards. If we all look the same, that'd be boring.
Right.
If we all had the same personality, that would be boring. Nothing would be challenged, nothing be out of your comfort zone. And when I get in the giggle mode, there's no stopping. Like the first time we started talking, everything was funny. We just were hilarious just with each other. And it just, Brian just, it's the funniest thing. Brian brings it out of me.
J-Lo gone beautiful, you mean?
Yeah, there you go. So, but exactly. I like the way he changed the perspective. But again, that's the way I was seeing it, because I was conscientious about it. Same thing with my accent. I brought you up on Tuesday night because I was talking about sometimes my speech impediment or the way I talk. I said, at least Brian makes me feel better by just calling Lynnisms. I said, and we had a guy there that he's a speaker and he has an speech impediment.
Yeah.
Great guy, amazing guy. And again, to surround yourself with people, you may have imperfections, but that shouldn't stop you from being you. Because when you can laugh, how many times have we laughed with all the words or how I enunciate things sometimes? Holy shit. I mean, I'm just like, what am I saying? My kids, everybody tried to always, he wants me to say this because I say coffee.
Say coffee.
Okay?
Coffee.
I say coffee. But
everybody listen a little closer. Say it again, Lynn. Coffee.
Yeah, it's coffee. Or dog. He always wants me to say dog. So I said it now. Dog, yeah.
Is that D-O-G or D-A-W?
I don't know. Now you see why I have problems spelling.
And when we take this from, like all I'm envisioning right now is an improv stage, right? Where it's short form. The show is, 101, right? Let's just make it easy on everybody. And it's like the most amount of laughs are not the predictable ones. The most amount of laughs are the one where you're playing, what are you doing? Let's say, right? Where there's two teams, there's a topic, somebody starts creating a pantomime in action, right? and the person says, you know, what are you doing? And they have to say something totally opposite that matches the topic at hand, right? And when you see people's faces where the wheels are turning but nothing's coming out, those are usually the biggest moments of laughter
Yep.
in, you know, in improv, because they're unpredictable. Everybody's being fully vulnerable and nobody's judging you. It's a safe place to be.
You know, I just remembering a memory from seventh grade. We were playing in music. We were having a music trivia thing, and for the win, somebody had to spell Germany right. I got so excited. I said, "Yeah, J-E-R." I'm
Wow.
like, what? I got that right, didn't I?
Is
See,
the final
because in
answer?
Spanish, you sound things out, you
Yeah.
know? So I was like, Germany with a J. I'm like, what? And for the longest, so every time I hear the word Germany, I'm like, J. We lost because I said spelled Germany with a J instead of a G. So yeah. So it's
Well,
I just have to laugh at myself.
Well, like when I think of a comedian, I think of Gabriel Iglesias. All right,
Oh, he's
he's
hilarious.
he's had a lot going on in his life. I mean, he used to, you know, I haven't seen him in a while, but I know he was on a really big quest to lose a lot of weight, right? And but he didn't. He was so relatable from a standpoint of like everybody could see it, but he wore flowered shirts and he had a lot of sound effect voices, and he didn't let that bother him. But he was also relatable. He was
Yeah.
real, you
Yeah.
know. He's this real guy that's not trying to overcome the fat that, or overcome the not the fat, the fact. Oops.
Blooper.
Yeah. He was trying, he wasn't
You were
denying
looking
it.
at the fat instead of the facts.
Right. He wasn't denying it, but he didn't let that get in the way of who he really was. And that's somebody that was really authentic and real,
Yeah.
you know? And anybody that's followed him for any given amount of time, I know that he's given money to charity and he's really, you know, I mean, he sells out stadiums all the time or sells out arenas and stuff for his comedy.
Fluffy, fluffy
You know,
everywhere.
but at the same time, it's like he's relating to something he knows, which was dealing with this. But he
Yep.
didn't let that get in the way, and he wasn't definitely ignoring it,
Yeah.
because that would
Yeah.
be inauthentic if he did.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I'm going back on Friday or Monday, Monday through Thursday. I'm going to go back swimming because I'm not having my granddaughter. So that's going to be fun, you know, and stuff. And it's like, hey, I mean, I got to start chopping off the things you need to do to get rid of this pre-diabetic stuff. I ain't
Right.
waiting for it to get any worse or whatever. But you can hide all you want. But the point is you got to take it day by day. And when if you focus on humor and laughter for the soul, which is what I needed for this show today, Brian, because my mind's been, you know, I like to just stay by myself. And yet
Mhm.
I realize what I don't like is being disconnected from people. So when you have like weather things going on or something going on, you realize the time is fleeing from communicating with people.
Mhm.
And then I find the urgency to talk to them, to make sure they're okay.
Yep.
And the only way I can do that is make sure to stop being all just to myself because I'm going to regret that in the long run. I'm pulling myself out of that, introvert and pulling myself out of, limiting shows or doing this and that. And, but now, I mean, when I communicate with people, it just inspires me. And I had time to talk to Robbie Cornelius yesterday, which really ignited my fuel for where I'm taking these shows and stuff. But again, that's what happens. You got to communicate with people.
Right.
You got to reach each other's souls and be connected.
Easy.
You definitely need to be connected, and you need to find ways to not lose that, because what you always want to remember when somebody's gone is the laughter, the good times you've had with them.
Right.
So that's why it's important to have humor in the soul.
Well,
Because
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, because if not, there's a part of you that's dying
Right.
and with regret. And so go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is that it's one of our mentors. It's like if you're not having a good day, you want to get yourself out of a rut, help somebody else have a good day. Well,
Yeah.
if you want to help yourself not be funny or help yourself get out of a rut of not feeling like you're funny, help somebody else laugh,
Yeah.
right? Get in motion, make it about
Yeah.
other people, because because you get your internal humor when you help other people get theirs, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Now
It-
obviously that implies too is that they're in a mental space to accept humor, right? That's kind of
oh,
like, I don't need this right now. Well, okay. But it's like when people go to a comedy show, they're going to a specific place to get a certain result.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't go there, well, then it's unfulfilling. Just like
Right.
if somebody goes to a concert and it doesn't happen. Well, they went there to be entertained. They went there for, whatever it might be. And
Right.
so obviously it's a give and take when it comes to humor. Just because you give it doesn't mean it's going to be received. But if you ever want to get yourself out of a rut, or if you're dealing with something and it's just not pleasant, help somebody else out. Make
Yeah.
another person laugh. But obviously, with all this said, don't take yourself too seriously, because it's never going to go as planned. If you like script it out, okay, I'm going to be funny now. That's just like
Yeah.
saying you're going to be creative now. No,
Yeah.
because you can't use both hemispheres of your brain at the same time. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you want to be creative, you got to stay in the creative hemisphere. If you're going to be fight or flight or fearful, well, you're going to stay there. That's why the brain can't cross reference those, and you can't use two different sides of your brain at the same time.
And I'm glad I don't have to worry about Jules. She's safe in Montana. She's not in Florida. So I'm
Hi,
grateful
Julie.
about that too. So I'm glad we talked about how good it is for the soul, because I notice when I'm in my serious mode, I don't even like myself that way. I like
Right.
myself when I'm being goofy and silly. And even the days where I know I'm having an enunciation problem,
Yep.
I start saying, okay, what can I say what I don't think I can enunciate? Because it does sound funny.
But
I just
but
do.
also though, did you ever notice too, is that when you laugh, like let's say you made a mistake on a document, or you said a couple extra words or
Yeah.
whatever it is, you don't take yourself too seriously when you're, plus work that might have been a major undertaking seems to
Yeah.
go by so much easier and faster. And you just kind of bounce from one project to another without any loss of power or empowerment.
Yeah, it is amazing. So, like I said, we are the ones, the captain of our ship, and
Correct.
we're at the helm. We can either take a tour of negativity and spiraling down, or we can take the high road with laughter and just laugh our way.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just, it really is a way that you need to look at it. Why do you think the saying of "I'll laugh my way all the way to the bank"? You may not
Yeah.
like it or not, but it's like shit. You might as well laugh way to the bank instead of losing your soul and your spirit to the demons of the world. And
Right.
you got to do stuff to protect yourself.
Well, and anybody that is truly funny, and I believe all of us have
The ability.
regardless of our view of ourselves, all of us are naturally funny, right?
Yeah.
Whether we
Yeah.
think that way or not doesn't matter, because we're always going to abide by what we think of ourselves over what other people say about us. But
Right.
the more you take yourself too seriously, the less funny you're going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You know,
that's what I
and
noticed.
and just remember, whatever shows up consistently is what's there.
Yeah.
But
That's
in my opinion, the only way to be funny is to be your authentic self. You don't care how you're perceived by other people, and you're just doing your thing. And when people see you, they, you can just joke around and laugh, but they feel valued. They feel appreciated.
Well, I think I'm gonna start sharing the fact that, I am very empathetic. I'm such an empath and I feel things around the world, but I'm gonna have to be like, I feel this shit, but I don't like it. So can we change the channel? Can we fucking get out of this mood and let's go somewhere else? Let's look at it, in the rearview mirror, and let's laugh. Because it's seriously there, even in the myths of things, there's always something good in there.
Yeah.
You've got to go find the good in all of that, the humanity. Somebody might bitch because their carport's gone, or it's down the street, the neighbors. But you know what? That shit was a piece of shit. Get some FEMA money, make it look better. So think about how you're going to improve it. Think of how it's going to be better. Because when
Right.
something bad happens, there's always good that comes out of it. I
Well,
believe that wholeheartedly.
and we both come from a place of trauma in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had a near-death experience. You've had
Mm-hmm.
some
Yep.
things that have happened to you, and it's like us as human beings are we only can react to what we've encountered in
Right.
life. And if we haven't encountered something deeper or something nearly fatal, we have no we can't pull from that experience.
Right.
And so it's not fair to those that have never had a near-death experience or ever dealt with trauma. Their point of view is their point of view. But what I can say, though, is that if you ever have something that has happened to you that you didn't expect or didn't want, or you grieved for years, or it was heartbreaking, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it
Oh, yeah.
comes to, if you can survive that,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot to laugh about. There's a lot to be fun about.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
your self-expression, because it's like taking yourself way too seriously about petty matters in the whole scheme of things. Like I missed a business deal. Somebody cut me off in traffic, or I didn't get my order that took
Yeah.
2 days. It took 3. Oh my goodness.
VFD.
In the whole scheme of things, it's like, if that's the biggest thing in your world, I get it. I
Right.
respect that. But in the whole scheme of things, you're going to forget about it in probably 24 hours.
And this is why it's a good thing that we go through, the ebb and flow. We go through these different peaks of the valley, and it reminds us that we're going to get through this like we got through that, and that kind of thing. It's just going to take some time,
Right.
We can rebuild.
It is, in my opinion, it is impossible to be humorous if the only thing that on the flip side of that is how it's going to be perceived.
Well,
You'll never be humorous because you won't share it, even though it's there, because you're like, I wonder what that person will think of me. You're never going to be humorous, because you might be humorous inside, but it's never going to be able to get anybody to laugh because you're too cautious about how it may appear.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and you know what? The good thing is, shit, if they don't like your jokes, then find another crowd, because there's plenty somewhere else. And I mean, if anything, test it out. And if you see that they don't like your humor, then I'm like, you don't got the right humor bone to be around me, and move on. Just move on.
Another way to test that would be is like, make fun of yourself and see if it's a stoic crowd.
Yeah.
But also they'll be very open to like who you're sharing this stuff with.
Right.
How these people that you're talking to, are they open to it? Because it doesn't mean that you're not funny. It just might mean that it's not the right crowd.
I agree. So, well, this has been a great topic. I know you need to get going too.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you spend this time with me.
Of course, likewise.
You inspire me. I just love being with you, and I'm blessed that I get this time once a week with you. So
100%.
this
Likewise.
this is just it means a lot to me, especially times when, I love when you realize that it is work to be positive and not go down the rabbit hole. It's
Correct.
a lot of work. So when somebody says, but you don't understand, I don't understand your situation, but I understand my situation. They just give us the same feelings. And all I got to say there is that pick and choose the feelings you want to have, and be grateful that you get to choose.
Right.
While you're breathing, you get to choose. So
right.
Choose the humor for the soul, because I think you're just going to realize that life feels better. You're breathing, your body, your endorphins. It just, it's a better. And now I have to be more funny and be hilarious and do goofy TikToks with me next week and stuff, because I realize I can't go down the depression mode. That's just going to make me into diabetic, and I ain't going there. Yep. So that's one thing you need healthy, is to stay stress. You're not supposed to have stress when you have diabetes. So for all you diabetes people out there, I want you laughing more and, help your sugar go down. That's what I'm going to preach. Help your sugar go down by
preach it, sister.
That, come on, we can do this. So, all right, Brian, thank you for being here. Love you.
Likewise.
Stay right
Love
there.
You too.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Everyone.